Hey folks, what's going on? Welcome to the next episode in the Coach Gav podcast. So today, the day we're filming is the 10th of October, so 10/10. And over the last few years, it's kind of been linked in with World Mental Health Day. So kind of the subliminal messaging being there when you feel 10 out of 10, generally is you're feeling as great as possible. Um, and then off the back of that, the message being that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be 10 out of 10. And it's certainly okay, you could even argue it's realistic, not to be 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times. So, um, and I think the the focus, the development, the advancements in terms of the mental health awareness field is fantastic. As someone who, in my mid-20s, went through um, quite a rough, bumpy patch. I describe it as it's like when you're just out of depth in a swimming pool and you're kind of bobbling, at a full stretch that your toes can tip the bottom of the water and you're able to kind of bounce back up a little bit, but you're still struggling to get and or keep your head above water. And the pressure to your focus in that moment of I just need to get my head above water, because once I get my head above water, I can catch my breath. And when I catch my breath, I can focus. And when I can focus, I can start to identify solutions or identify options. And then I can start to think about how to get out of my current predicament. And that's not just in the case of the swimming pool example, that translates across all of your life. So when you are struggling to keep your head above water, financially, occupationally, in your career, um, with your relationships, with your communication skills, with your parenting skills, um, all those aspects, and it can be very overwhelming because most likely we're going to be at varying levels of where we keep or how we're keeping our head above water. In some cases, you're like, oh yeah, grand, cool. This is not an issue for me. I'm quite comfortable here. Everything's fine. I can think and process and focus as I go. And you might have a couple of areas where, like, good Christ, this is just a struggle. I'm trying to keep a head above water here, and there, and this one's not doing great. And it's the much like success and progress is the accumulation of action. Sometimes um, setbacks and what is the word we're looking for? This was the opposite of progress, regression. So setbacks and regression um, are also a result of accumulation. It's a result of like a pylon of all these unfortunate, annoying, bad things happening all at once, and it's just this pressure, and then pressure over time, much like a steam pot. It's just going to, it'll blow, it'll burst. And sometimes that can happen in terms of losing our temper, losing our cool, um, giving up, just wanting to burn it all to the ground, just saying fuck it. And ultimately, realistically, is in people choosing to not be here anymore. If you know, kind of, you can take the discretionary hint there on that point. So that's where it all comes back to it. Where, well, for me, from my perspective, this is where our idea and our concept of unbeatable or being unbeatable came from, was that it's not about avoiding the hard times or avoiding the challenging situations. You know, we face these situations because that's how growth is. Please don't drive into my car. Um, that's where growth occurs in life, when we're trying to expand ourselves and extend ourselves to achieve new levels and new heights as it goes. And it's when we look after ourselves mentally, it allows ourselves to perform better emotionally, physically, and then like that accumulation, it's everything banding together. It's working in unison. It's working as a well-oiled machine, um, to for things just to tip along nicely, um, and much like everything else, though, the mental health side of things has, to some extent, pardon me, it's starting to get bastardized, where everyone is just latching on to, where people with a genuine um, concern or consideration or kind of worry, it's now being a case of every little thing out there. People are using the mental health card as a easy cop out or get out for not being held accountable for their actions and things like that, or their choices. And this is possibly going to not be a popular opinion, and I'm fine with that. You know, um, it's people using it as a crutch to um, escape having to face up and square up to um, their their realities of where you need to kind of work on things. And um, if I gave you guys €1 for every time I said we'd all be very rich. So looking back at my own track record, when I started taking accountability, and which was awkward at times because there was a lot of stuff I had to kind of hold my hands to and be like, okay, listen, that was a decision I made. I made it at the time, and looking back now, it was a poor decision, a bad decision, a wrong decision, and kind of moving on from it there as well. You can't just kind of go, oh, look, you know, I've got poor mental health, you know, so I've got poor mental health, so that's why I've done A, B, C, D. That's not, for me, that's not really how it goes. Having poor mental health is something that we all have because it's a very fluid situation. It's an up and down. It's not always that, and it's being aware. Awareness precedes change. We can't make a change if we don't know change is needed. So being aware that, hey, there's something not really right here, and that's kind of what took time for myself, was like, just because something happened all the time, there was an understanding that, oh yeah, sure, that's normal. It's always happening. So if something is always happening, it should be normal, as opposed to, well, actually, that's not really normal, and it's not really the wisest thing to let reoccur, and we probably should address it. And that where it kind of came with time then, as I went along, and there'll be things that you guys are living through and going through at the moment where you're like, look, you just um again, this is where kind of the conversation outside of coaching comes into play, where to sit down and to talk over a coffee and to have a chat and be like, hey, well, look, here's other avenues with it. And it's non-stop, even now at 38, nearly 39 and moving forward, it's always something, watching my mental health. And even like, I know when I'm in like a low mood or like a low energy, and I'm like, right, I'm pretty irritable today, or my mindset's not right, and I feel as if I'm underperforming in work, or I'm not meeting the standards that I want to meet. That's a whole separate discussion altogether. Um, and this pressure can build, 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 build. So that's where having perspective and having the ability to communicate, but more importantly, the ability to listen to. I'm quite fortunate. We have a really good team of us in work where we're able to kind of bounce off each other and be like, look, this is just we support each other through stuff, and we help provide guidance and support, but also like we hold each other accountable in terms of, hey, listen, this is like, you're better than that, like cop on to fuck. um and then it goes back to the other side of mental health awareness, is being aware that the people we deal with, our friends, our family, our loved ones, our colleagues, our co-workers, the people we bump into on a daily basis, they are also going through the exact same scenario, in terms of they're all having their own battles, they're all having their own struggles. It's all something that's developing as their day goes on as well. So you could just come across someone in that snapshot of a moment where they're having a particularly rough run of things, and the interaction or the conversation you have might tip them over the edge, or it might be, you know a negative or whatever, or something that might not seem like that big of a deal. It could be the very thing that just tips them over the edge on it. So yes, it's okay not to be okay, and it's acceptable, and it's actually quite realistic to be like, oh, I'm not going to be 10 out of 10 the whole time. What's not okay is to just kind of let that be that. Like, that is the full stop in the sentence, as opposed to, it's okay not to be okay. Yeah, but it's not okay to realize you're not feeling okay and just to let that stone keep rolling. You do need to be like, right, I need to do something about it. I need to either get and it's not about avoiding having bad days. It's not about avoiding having down moments or whatever. It's, in my opinion, it's about being able to kind of forecast it a little bit, be like, oh, something's not right here, let's just keep an eye on it. Maybe it's a temporary thing, maybe it's a bigger thing. And if you notice it becoming a bigger thing, then also being able to kind of work and transition back towards, right, how do I get myself back on track? How do I get myself in a better headspace? How do I kind of put systems in place to build back up? I've the stuff that we do in Unbeatable, with my journaling, with my 3x3 approach each day, to help me see factually that things aren't as bad as they want to be. Now, like, I have a constant, an underlying, our financial situation, much like the majority of people in the country and probably the world, isn't exactly great. And you're kind of going, right, well, I'm just trying to fight these fires over here. And then also, I'm like not avoiding it, but this is also something you're trying to kind of balance and do. So it is about having a system, having a routine, having something very simple that you can do, that when you're having a not so great mental health state of mind or phase, instead of when like things can taper off and we're going this way, that we're able to kind of pull it back in on track. And that's just temporary, because then we branch out again, you come back in, you branch out again, you come back in, and that's how we go. Just life is moving from there as well. So yep, totally okay not to be okay, not totally okay to realize that and then just do sweet fuck all about it. You have to. It's in your best interests. You imagine if you're the top glass of one of those champagne pyramids, and everyone else in your life is connected to you underneath, so they are feeding off you in some way, shape, or form. And if you're pouring, imagine they're all full of gold colored champagne, you start pouring black dye into it. That black dye keeps spilling down into other areas of your life. If you go, oh well, that's not how it's supposed to be, or that's not ideal, then but you keep pouring in the black dye and things just keep getting worse. You have a duty of care to yourself to stop pouring the black dye in. Cheers, folks. Any comments, drop them below. Give us a like, share, subscribe, just so again it helps spread the podcast, spread the video on YouTube across as we go. And I will talk to you soon.